We're going to go live on video because I give extra content to our YouTube feed, and then obviously the audio will keep separately. Because like I said, I do my hard recording, but I wanted to share this with you because for the podcasters out there, this is one of the companies that's emailing me now. So they're not that huge because they only have like 591 likes, but I think a lot of people don't know who they are. So, but hey, if you happen to get bored and you feel like checking them out, like I said, they found me, but my show's been out there for over a year. So that's probably why they got word of me. You're just firing it up. So can't hurt. So, all right. I got your site up here. Good. I'm just double checking one more thing. And you did give me a bio. Perfect.
Yeah, short one, but my story is only about 15 years long. So
we're a conversational format podcast, so we'll get into more of who your story is anyway. That's right. We've talked about this. So
perfect.
Well then you already know how I go. So are you good to go?
Yeah, I'm ready to roll.
Perfect. Oh, real quick. Is it Rasile?
Rasile.
See, I was adding too much flair. Although that's a different kind of flair. Michael Rasile. I like that.
Yeah. Right. Italian is actually Rasile, but we Americanized it. So it is what it is.
That's okay. Mulvaney here in the U.S., if you go to Ireland, it's actually pronounced Mulvaney. So,
really?
Yeah. So I don't know if Chris knows that. I think we actually talked about that when we did our podcast a year ago. So
that's a good conversation to have between you guys.
Yeah. So like I said, we always joked around. We don't know if we're related or not. So, all right. So Rasile. Perfect.
You got it.
All right. Well, stand by. Going live on audio. I'll intro you.
Cool.
All right. Good day and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Live the Fuel show. So today and this evening, we're bringing on, once again, another new co-host for you, the listeners, bringing a new value, a whole different angle that I've not had a chance to even talk about on this show. But this gentleman, I'll just give you a little tip right quick. He cares about chefs. He cares about the restaurant industry. And I love to eat. So we're going to get into this more, but a quick little bio on this guy is he's a 26-year-old marketing and advertising agency owner that caters directly to the chefs, restaurants, and other brands in the food service industry. So he's got almost a decade of experience working in and around and with restaurants while also having a bachelor's degree in marketing like myself. But he's from Rutgers Business School. So I'm a Penn Stater. He's a Rutgers guy. We could talk about that too. But he's also in the process of creating his own podcast. So we've been talking before bringing him on tonight, and that's going to be Chef's Choice, where he interviews chefs and restaurant owners and industry experts. So any of you listeners out there who has a clue about anybody in that sector, listen in on this show and maybe get them connected. So without further ado, Michael Rasile, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much, Scott. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, man. So, and again, real quick to kind of define better for our listeners, you and I got connected thanks to Chris Mulvaney, who was one of my first 3 episodes ever aired when I launched the show in September of 2017. It's only been a little over a year. And you kind of reached out to me, in the past couple months?
Yeah, I would probably say within the past, less than 6 weeks, somewhere around there.
I was going to say, we might be getting close to 2 months. So
yeah, give or take.
And I guess because you're partnering or kind of working side by side with Chris, and he kind of referred you to me because he and I actually did a live recording at his offices down in New Jersey. So, which was super fun, buddy. Those offices, beautiful.
Oh my gosh. One day, man, I'm crossing my fingers. If he keeps helping me out, I'll have an office like that one day. But right now, I got a little while to go.
But you probably have talked to him, and he's probably told you he didn't start out there. It's a great story of entrepreneurship, leveling up, and you got to put in the hustle, man.
No, absolutely. It's actually pretty cool the way our stories lined up. He quit his corporate job at 25. I quit my corporate job at 25. He decided to start his own marketing agency. I decided to start my own marketing agency. And then we're just actually 15 years apart exactly. So really, I'm just hoping that if in 15 years I could be half the person and coach and entrepreneur he is, I will be extremely successful. So, I mean, that's what I'm shooting for.
Man. Shout out to Chris Mulvaney.
Yeah.
Wow.
Guy is pretty amazing. So.
And I'm hoping Chris will definitely want to listen to this episode. I don't even know how many podcasts if that guy even has time, actually, I should say, let me clarify this. Everybody has time to listen to a
Yes.
podcast or an audiobook, because I talk about
Mm-hmm.
it all the time. Turn your
Mm-hmm.
car into a mobile university. It's
Mm-hmm.
a best practice for many, many successful people.
100%. Yeah, if successful people can do something, I like to at least try and do it myself. Because if billionaires are doing something, then it's probably in my best interest to do it as well, right?
You can't knock it till you try it. So, I mean,
Exactly.
if you ever listen to anything from Grant Cardone?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
10x.
So
Love that book.
Total
All
Hustler,
this
right?
stuff.
I got
Mm-hmm.
the 10X here the last,
Mm-hmm.
a few months back. And then the year before, Grant was at the same event I was at. Last year was San Diego. This year was in Vegas. And
Mm-hmm.
just the guy is pure hustle, from
Oh my gosh.
the car dealership sales world
Mm-hmm.
turned like online sales and marketing training
Mm-hmm.
guru, Cardone University, all that. But I'm listening to one of his audiobooks for a second time called Sell or Be Sold.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a good chunk of his library in my library. And he talks about that. He's like, he literally brought this up yesterday when I was at that point in the book about, he doesn't call it a auto university or a car university. I do,
Mm-hmm.
but he basically says like, there's no excuse. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you travel a lot and you claim that you have a long commute, then what are you doing during that commute?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I'm sure you have chefs that you've been starting to talk to now that either you knew already or you're now getting connected with that. Well, I mean, unless they live above the restaurant, they
Mm-hmm.
probably have a commute too.
Absolutely. No, and they do. So that's one of the things that I'm able to kind of hook people in on is like if most of the people that I've interviewed, the reason why they wanted to do it was because they listen to podcasts themselves and either have been on podcasts before or are really excited to be on them. So it's always fun asking that question. What shows do you listen to currently? I have another one in your book that you're going to start listening to pretty soon, of course. But they always like really kind of the interaction and just really learning and understanding because I'm going after entrepreneurial people that, like myself, are trying to grow themselves, grow their brand, and make sure that they're moving in the right direction that way for themselves as well as their business.
Well, and I love that. And actually, again, to our listeners, guys, his site is digitalmediacuisine.com. And I love actually, I'm going to go ahead and share that screen for our video YouTube feed, people. But how sweet it is. And then right below that, helping businesses achieve succulent success. So, dude, you're rocking some of the verbiage that it totally relates to their profession. I love it.
Let's give another shout out to Chris one more time because he is a major help again with all this stuff. So, and as you see up there, I have a little Chef's Choice podcast tab. Nothing's in it yet because it won't go live until January 1st.
Get any kind of teaser on here? I'm going to go ahead and click on it anyway.
just kind of explains a little bit kind of what where I came from, where I'm going, and really the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast.
Perfect. See, that's good. I mean, as we start driving traffic, which obviously, and again, if I'm correct, if I remember my conversation the other day, you're launching for the new year, right?
Yes, sir. We're launching January 1st. We're going to be launching with, I want to say 5 episodes, but minimum of 4 right now because kind of one of those know your customer things. This is the busiest time of year for chefs and restaurant owners.
No.
So I'm not going to I'm not going to burden them with something extra. I guess burden's not the best word to use, but I'm not going to throw something. Oh, here we go. I'm not going to throw something extra on their plate while they're trying to get through this whole time. And I think it would be really cool because I have a bunch of advertising campaigns lined up, ready to go. That are just going to shoot out January 1st. Let every single chef in New York, Philadelphia, essentially the entire state of New Jersey, Chicago, San Francisco, and the Seattle, Portland area. I've created some advertising campaigns that they're going to get blasted with this stuff and really let them understand exactly what we're going for with this.
Well, I mean, first of all, kudos for sharing the about story because right now you got to just start getting those keywords up. You got to get the pages up. I'm sure Chris and you have geeked out about this on multiple calls. And I think it's important because obviously I'll be airing this show for you and this will give you some new content that you can share to your social media, your email blasts, and maybe even, I don't know, I mean, I don't know if you could probably milk that into some of your campaigns too, right? Because it's PR. But
exactly.
The point is that start driving traffic because even if people aren't on there yet, the only thing I would do here is if somebody is driven to look at this page is, do you have an opt-in on here? Because I would want to know in the next few weeks, right? Like, hey, dude, I want to be on the waiting list to get, like, as soon as that podcast is up, like, blast me. Because in that email blast, you can give them a couple of bullet points, like 1, click here to subscribe. 2, listen to the first episode, second episode, or third episode, and you can even include who those guests were, and et cetera. I don't know, just throwing that out there.
No, that's a great idea. You know what you're doing, so I'll take all the information I can get, man.
Well, I mean, let's be real. I mean, and again, to our listeners, guys, we're geeking out about marketing right now. Come on. I mean,
Mhm.
Chris is a marketing guy. You got Michael, a marketing guy. I'm a marketing guy. You're just going to have to deal with it.
Mhm.
So with the site though, I mean, how long have you had the site up?
The site has probably been up around a year, but I'll be totally honest, probably within the last couple weeks, I've really started to pay
Turning it
attention and
on.
care about it. Yeah, like
Yeah.
a lot more. And there's still a lot of things to be done. Obviously, again, that's one thing Chris and I are working on. So you should have seen this a couple months ago, but it's definitely, it's turning around. I'm kind of looking at it every day, looking at other sites that I'm kind of trying to aspire to, other companies that I'm aspiring to, and kind of working my way around, making sure that this is exactly targeting the audience that I'm looking for.
Well, and that's what we're supposed to do, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I talk about this on past episodes too, is that people think that we have to be recreating the wheel.
Hmm.
But once you get a little experience under your belt, you realize we're not recreating the wheel. We're
No, sir.
studying the people who are succeeding in the sectors we want to get into.
Hmm.
We study their best practices. We study their sites, their brands, how they're doing things, rank what they're doing accordingly. But then in the end, this doesn't mean you copy everything, but then you say, okay,
Exactly.
well, out of that list, what rings true to me, my
Hmm.
brand, how I want to exist? Like my tagline for my agency is control how you exist online. Don't just exist online. Like
Hmm.
I can slap a Facebook page up for anybody. I'm not even
Hmm.
a web designer nowadays. I could turn a WordPress page on for anybody. It's
Yeah.
not rocket science.
Hmm.
But it sounds like you're getting into that phase
Yeah.
too with Chris's support, where it's like, okay,
Hmm.
man, exactly how do I want my brand to launch and grow?
Yep. Absolutely. No, and it's a lot of fun. As you said, we're kind of geeking out about marketing, but I mean, obviously I was BS in marketing. So I always like to say I'm a pretty good bullshitter.
Yep.
And people usually laugh
Fellow
at that one.
bullshitter, sir. Fellow
Yes,
bullshitter.
absolutely. Fantastic. So people usually enjoy that one. But it's one of those things where I've always really enjoyed the psychology side of marketing. I've always really enjoyed kind of the brain side and the things that are happening, left brain, right brain, and how, one word, one color, one button, one picture can really change the entire outlook for a person. So, I mean, I'm not super analytical, and I'm not super creative, but it's always been something that I've been really interested in, and I kind of like the copywriting aspect of it.
Hmm.
But it's so much fun, and it's so interesting to me to kind of test things and look at all that. Which then I talked to my girlfriend about it, and her eyes glaze over, and she doesn't care anymore. Talk to my friends, the
That's
same
my
thing.
fiance. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so much fun, and it's so interesting, and I really can, it's weird. I've always, I heard a gentleman speak in my previous life. I was a financial advisor for Edward Jones. I managed a few $1 million over the couple years that I was there. It was a lot of fun. Hated finance, really enjoyed the job.
Okay,
But
seriously, we're seriously vibing right now because I
mhm,
dual majored, then switched it back to a minor in psychology while I was doing my
mhm,
BS in marketing. You
mhm.
just said you love psychology. So I
Yes, sir.
studied that, right? And I spent only a year, luckily, with the big
Mhm.
ADP corporation.
Okay.
Had my licenses in small business retirement, so I would manage 1 to 49
Mhm,
companies as employee size on
mhm.
helping them launch small retirement solutions and everything
Yeah.
else. Not the exact thing in finance, but in the end, finance
I,
in general, couldn't stand it. I'm like, no,
yeah.
not me.
Just this. Yeah. It turns out I really like my money. I don't like other people's money as much. So that was
Yep.
always the thing that kind of did it for me. And it was, the political climate, the stock market, all that stuff. I couldn't deal with it.
It
It
just
was,
seemed
it was,
cold to me. Is
yeah,
that is
it
that a thing
was
you got off of it? No
definitely,
offense to our listeners who are financial
no, no, no.
gurus. Like we love you guys because like I love outsourcing to you because that's one thing I realized. Best practice, like work your strengths, outsource your
Mhm.
weaknesses.
Oh,
No,
100%. 100%. Yeah, no, and it's the company I work for, again, Edward Jones, phenomenal company.
it's a very good company.
They treat their employees like they're gold. They treat the clientele like they're gold. It is what it is. It's just the field wasn't for me. I like the sales aspect. I like the entrepreneurial aspect. I just didn't like the field.
Hmm.
So after I was there for like 2 years, I finally realized like this is just not for me. I need to go out and do something. And I remembered the thing that I loved the most was when I worked in a restaurant. I worked in a restaurant for 8, 9 years. Loved every second of it. Loved engaging with the clientele. Loved working with the chefs. Kind of loved both sides of it. And this is kind of my outlet through being a customer, because I love going out to eat. As you said, you're a foodie. I can't quite call myself one yet, but I've been to a few really, really nice restaurants. Once I go to a couple 3-star Michelins, then we'll talk. And then
I had
I've
my
always had,
second Michelin experience in South Africa a few weeks back. So
oh,
yeah, Yeah. I was
Very
like,
nice.
oh, okay. Didn't even know they were Michelin.
Oh, there you go. Well, the heck yeah,
We didn't know what you were
that's a
doing. We
pleasant
just showed up
surprise.
and like, they're like, oh yeah, that guy's a Michelin. I'm like, oh, cool.
This is a surprise. I will take that.
Yes.
I hope you were then ordered like everything on the menu at that point.
Oh yeah, because the
Yeah.
other advantage is that the rand, which is the
Mhm.
monetary, thing in South
Mhm,
Africa,
mhm.
isn't worth squat. So
Yeah.
like we were living like kings and queens.
Oh
It was, I
gosh.
mean, it's a one
Yeah.
of our dollars is like 70 of theirs.
Oh wow.
It was ridiculous. Like
Yeah, I would.
the best bottle of wine is like 400 rand. But do the math. It's like really
Yeah.
drop it. I'm going.
Yeah, yeah. I'll take 6 of them. That's
we'll
fine. That
we'll
sounds
Uber home. There's Uber over there
yeah,
too, by
right?
the way.
Oh, would you look at that? That company, man, they're all over the place
Yeah,
now.
man. South
Um,
Africa represent.
that's pretty cool. But yeah, so because I love going out to eat so much, because I loved working in the restaurant so much, it gave me the ability to kind of understand what chefs and restaurants need and then what the clientele wants and is looking for. So it
Mm.
kind of gives me, it tugs on both sides, and it really lets me kind of, that's where it all connects right here with my business and what I'm able to do, kind of for each side.
If you look at really the sector of executives, CEOs, CEI, I like
Mhm.
to call them CEIOs. It's and you see these newer, I don't want to call them drama shows, but the TV shows, like, actually it's not even that new, it's been out for a while, but like Undercover Bosses and stuff like that.
Mhm,
I don't
mhm,
have I don't have television. We don't have cable, but
mhm.
we have like Apple TV and that's it.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I know that I think that's still around. And the whole best practice that they're always sharing is that if you truly want to understand your company and help it grow and succeed, you need to have at least lived in the shoes, so to speak, of
Mhm,
all levels of your company, especially the frontline employee. And I myself, I was a bartender. I've been a bar back. I've been a server. Um, so I've been around it, man.
mhm,
So
mhm, mhm.
it's if I was for some reason going to choose that sector for my future, I already have a decent knowledge because I've been in the trenches.
Mhm.
I've sweat. Trust me, just for being a bar back, man, I've sweat.
Oh god, yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
So,
I was
but I agree with your point there, man. Like you've
mhm,
been there. You can at least
mhm.
relate to them.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I never, I guess luckily was never a bar back, but I worked in the kitchen. I worked in the front of the house. So I really can understand kind of where both sides are coming from. I was kind of always that kind of floater. So I sometimes connected the two of them when they were kind of fighting, which
Mhm.
seems to be a more common occurrence than many people would think when they go to a restaurant.
The knowledge of liaison is like I like to call
Mm,
that. I learned that from the
mhm,
IT when I was in the IT sector for a little while. Being a person that can relate to the business side and the technology side and get the tech
mhm,
speak and the business speak to go together, I was playing that liaison role. And it sounds like that's where you're going with this too, is that
mhm.
the front and the back didn't always communicate too well together.
And then again, exactly kind of as you just said, and you just put it in way nicer words, the liaison between the client and between my client and between their clients,
There you go.
because sometimes they have no idea how to talk to each other.
Well, maybe
Maybe
add
they're
that to your copy, right? So how you're writing stuff up, your services. I mean, it's also a very nice
love it.
flaring word, right? Liaison.
Hmm.
Talk to Chris about it. I
Yeah,
mean, you already
no,
got succulent on here and some
uh-huh,
other nice words, but I mean, I
uh-huh.
think liaison adds a nice little flair to you.
It
So
can't hurt. It
yeah,
definitely can't hurt. We'll see how that goes.
nice. Actually, do you have any? I believe that's actually French origins. So, do you have
Yes.
any current clients that are in the French sector, or
No,
do
I
you
have a
narrow them down like that? I don't know.
I kind of like to because then it gives me the ability to say, okay, well, I work with a Jamaican restaurant. I work with the number one soul food restaurant in America. I
Hmm.
work with a Korean barbecue restaurant. So I, I mean, I don't personally kind of silo them, but it's nice to know exactly what I'm dealing with because A, it'll make me look smarter, but
Yep.
B, it also gives me that ability to say, hey, I work with all these kinds of restaurants. So I'm not pigeonholing myself to Italian food. As much as I love Italian food and as an Italian as I am, I want to work with everybody. I don't, it's more the restaurant space.
Okay.
Is kind of the silo that I'm going for.
And you may find that as you grow in this sector, we talk about, I mean, again, another best practice in business is that if your breadth or your target audience is so wide and broad,
Yep.
it's really hard for you to really niche out. And
Hmm.
it's a struggle for us to admit that maybe we should be niching ourselves, right? And like
Hmm.
niching down, niche, whatever word. Again, niche.
Yeah, I
You
don't
got
know it.
you got some fancy words. Let's go with niche.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That sounds a little more French, I guess.
Yeah, well, if we're
No.
going with flair words today.
Yeah. Right.
But maybe that's where your company goes because, again, there's so many different demographics within the
Hmm.
restaurant and the chef world.
Hmm. No,
I mean,
100%.
because don't chefs do that? They have to niche themselves sometimes on food.
Oh, no, absolutely. 100%. If they do like to break out occasionally because cooking the same thing over and over again can get boring. But most chefs, when you kind of find something that is almost your quote unquote calling, that's
Mhm.
probably where you're going to dive down into. And maybe one day I do. There are enough Italian restaurants that I'm going to be able to help. There are enough French restaurants. There are enough Jamaican restaurants that I would be able to help. But right now, I think it's also more fun, I guess, for me. I mean, let's be honest, we only get to do this once, so you might as well have a good time doing it. I don't want to, as I said, be pigeonholed to just Italian restaurants, just French cuisine restaurants. Kind of want to spread my wings a little bit, see what I really like, and then from there, if Chris and I see fit, let's go with that. Then maybe we do drill down a little bit more. But I think
it sounds like you got plenty of time for that. I mean, technically, you've already niched yourself into the chef and the restaurant sector, and then as you grow your business. Again, this is one of the best ways to find out where the next niche goes, is because you may find that you can't stand working with the owners of a restaurant, and you want to start promoting and being an agency just for chefs and helping the chefs launch their new brands and their new business. Because how many chefs that we've seen this, especially on like the master chefs and all those guys and ladies, right?
Top Chef,
Top Chef. Yeah, they get they get blown up on TV. They get an investor. Boom, they're launching their own restaurants, et cetera, or a lot of them already have them, and now they don't know what to do with this new influx of media and exposure. So maybe you end up being just the niche agency that works with the chef turned entrepreneur. Right, that's very niche. And then as you build out your portfolio and you see, oh, well, yeah, it just so happens that I have these sectors of the cuisine. I don't know if that's a good way to break it out, but then that just gets built out as your portfolio. And you say, hey, man, I've niched myself to the chef sector and that turned entrepreneur. And then in my portfolio, these are all the chefs turned entrepreneurs, that I work with. Who knows? You never know.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something I've thought about because again, I want to have a good time doing it. I love dealing with chefs. I've always said, and I don't feel bad saying it because I worked in one, you have to be crazy to work in a restaurant. Like there's got to be a couple screws loose. There has to be, not to say there's something wrong with you, but there's totally something wrong with you.
Well, look at Gordon Ramsay, man. Depending on the show he's on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true.
Some shows he's normal, like completely calm. And then there's that crazy Hell's Kitchen thing. And it's like it's like dual personality.
That I mean, let's be honest, that's more kind of
it's drama
TV. Yeah, that's exactly. He's not. I don't think he's like that all the time. Don't know the man personally. I would love to meet him one day, but
how awesome to be a possible go-to client one day. You never know.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad deal for me and the agency there.
I think that could be something to set as a. That's one of those, like I always tell people, like with goal setting, you always shoot above and beyond your existing goals, because even if you don't attain that, you'll still end up way the hell further than you would have if you would have just set your goals at like, oh, I'm going to go with this local top chef in let's just call him a top shelf chef in my local like New York City, New Jersey area. But it's like, okay, well, but what if? So
no, absolutely. And they again, shouting out Chris one more time. He's definitely helped me build my goals out correctly like that. So there are some 2030 goals in that sense. There are a couple goals to make sure that I'm working with Michelin star restaurants by about halfway through this year. So there's a lot of things like that we've already built out that, we'll be able to see where everything rolls, where everything goes. And if I really enjoy working with chefs more than restaurants, if I really enjoy working with restaurants more than chefs, I'm really open to everything right now. I'm just happy that I've at least kind of niched myself down to, you can't be everything for everyone. So I want to make sure that I'm everything for the one, I guess.
Smart move. I like it. I mean, and I don't know if you and I talked about it before, but like, it's not all about Chris, but I just love this connection. And because I'm always promoting and networking and getting those circles to overlap. And we've us three clearly have done that thanks to the power of something as simple as podcasting. Actually, to be fair, thanks to a weightlifting meet, actually, because that's how Chris and I met. But the power of this is pretty fun. But like, how did you two, what was your original meet or handoff to get connected?
So we're going back to Edward Jones again. So my former boss at Edward Jones, I stayed friendly with because he's an amazing person. His name's Patrick Chenard. He's out in St. Louis, Missouri now.
Shout out to Patrick Chenard.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal person, a great human being, and he was an amazing boss. And luckily for me, he understood where I was coming from when I decided to leave the company. Him and I stayed in close contact for a little while. Now, again, he's out in St. Louis, so I don't get to see or hear from him as much. But he actually was, I almost want to say, like one of my first clients for my new agency, because he has not a food bank, but like a nonprofit called Middletown Helps Its Own out in Middletown, New Jersey, where they come together, they donate food, they donate to the community, they help everyone out in the area. And it's a really phenomenal organization. And I said, Patrick, you need help with this. This is what I do. Speaking about, Facebook and Instagram at the time. And he said, you know what, I will 100% let you do that. Help us out. If you can grow our following, if you can get the word out a little bit more about what we do, let us. Yep. Yeah. They need a little help on the website, but it's definitely, this is the one.
It's okay. You can help with that. I mean, I'm sure they got a couple of really nice photos that were taken at the events, and that's what you really want to show on something like this.
Exactly. And it's a wonderful organization. They recently just had, on the 14th and 15th, they had a couple of food drives and drop-offs. So originally I started helping Patrick out with finding businesses that would donate to the cause and help them get money, because everything is 100% profit, not-for-profit, and donated from volunteers. So him and I were talking.
He's been at this a while, my friend. Wow, 1964? Jeez.
Well, yeah, Patrick hasn't. He just kind of took over the group when they were, I don't want to say struggling, but when they needed a little bit of help. He was essentially the mayor of Middletown before he left. Everybody knew him, and he's, again, great guy. But he realized after a couple months of me helping him out, I was like, him and I would catch up, just how's your business doing? How is this? How's that? And I was struggling for a little bit. I'll be totally honest. Not too surprising. I mean,
hey, we all got to start somewhere, bro.
Exactly. Never ran my own company before, so I needed.
And this is how we learn.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I now know.
Hey, but I'm currently working on a proposal right now. I have to join you on this because I'm like struggling to put together pricing on it. And it's like, really? Like, I know what I'm worth, but it's like, it's a friend of mine and it's his company. And it adds a little, I get it, man. Like it's like, oh, okay. What do I properly charge? I don't want to rip him off, but I know what I'm worth and I want to help the guy and I know I'm going to make some mistakes. So hopefully he's cool with it.
Yeah. It was all thrown in. But Pat took a little bit of a chance on me. He let me help him out. And after I was struggling for a little while just with the overall business, he said, hey, I have a friend. His name's Chris. He owns a marketing agency. He's starting off a coaching program. It would probably be in your best interest to talk to him. So Patrick made the introduction, and 4 times my profits later, here we are.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, how long has he been doing the coaching thing?
Chris, I actually am not sure. I've been doing it, I want to say, for about 6 months, give or take. 5 or 6 months. Can't remember exactly when it was. But ever since, I mean, I don't remember exactly what I started with when I was, how much I was making, but I'm now making about 4 times the amount I was 6 short months later. So
now, would you say that's because he's coached you to change your pricing structure, or is it like a confidence boost? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a multitude of things, honestly. He's helped me with the pricing structure. He's helped me with the sales aspect, which turns out it's the thing I'm worst at, ironically enough, coming from a sales job. He's helped me kind of organize my thoughts, organize my goals, make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Just, I always had a schedule, but he made sure that I hammered one down to the hour, to the 15 minutes. Okay, from this time to this time, this is exactly what you're doing. You don't stop. And once that time's up, then you can move on to something else. So he's just kind of helped with the overall structure, organization, the processing. And it's just been, it's been absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, there is his website.
Yeah. CMDS Online. And again, we've shared them in the show past, but I mean, I always like to plug everybody because that's part of your relationship. And I don't remember us discussing this when we did our podcast like a year ago. I didn't know he was getting into that, but that could be, that might go under his whole startup business consulting actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
So, that's totally where you're lying. Hey, it's startup, it's consultation, it's marketing strategy. Like, again, to your point, you're actually getting some sales strategy, which I really like that. And
Everything,
he's got a
everything
great team.
strategy, honestly. Yeah. Oh no, his team's phenomenal. I've actually only met a few of them, just kind of through passing, because him and I get there and he's all about business. And again, with the schedule and everything, he showed me his schedule before. On the days that he's there, it's extremely tight. So, there's not really much room for us to dilly dally and BS a little bit. We really do get down to business. He helps me with all my problems. He has, the things that he wants to talk about. And then really he kind of lets me vent a little bit every once in a while, which is nice. And then, we have some occasional communication through the week before our next, big meeting.
I'll have to reach out to him, man. He and I haven't chatted in a while. So, and I pop over to Jersey often on business. So actually I'll be down in Southern New Jersey actually this Wednesday. So
there you go. Give him a holler.
Yeah. Well, so the podcast, if people are listening to this, obviously I've already hinted when we first did the intro and the bio and all that, like this, listen, ladies and gentlemen, like, again, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you know somebody who's in the restaurant chef sector, I mean, it sounds like you got to give you a shout out, because I don't think there's a lot of other podcasts that have actually chosen to niche in this way or niche in this way. Like, what do you think? Have you done the podcast market research on this?
So, I mean, I've done enough. I mean, I guess maybe not enough, but I've done some research, let's say, and I have not found another podcast that's doing what I'm trying to do or am accomplishing, honestly, because the few recordings the value has been amazing, that the chefs give. So really, I mean, you can find a podcast that's about Chef XYZ and his or her claim to fame and how they got to where they are and, their story behind it. I want to tell that because everybody loves a story, but really what I'm exactly trying to do is, I'm trying to give not non-successful chefs and restaurant owners information from successful restaurant and owners about the business side specifically. Not about cooking, not about ingredients, not about technique. If you're a chef, you can find a million podcasts on that. I have not found a single podcast that's doing what I'm doing. And in the same way, having chefs from British Columbia, Vancouver, British Columbia, Portland, Seattle, New York, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Nashville, Tennessee. I'm having them from all over, all different walks of life. Some that were started as stewardesses or flight attendants that are now chefs 25 years later when they started when they were 30. So really just want to kind of diversify as much as possible and just get as much good business information, because being a foodie, I'm sure you've been to a million restaurants where the food is amazing, but you didn't know on the back end that it was going to close in 2 weeks because that guy has literally no idea how to run a business.
Time and time again, man. A lot of chefs, they become the entrepreneur. It's the same thing in the fitness space, though. You and I can connect on the same level because it's something that I've been told that I should always niche into. But the problem is most gym owners and fitness owners don't have the money to pay for somebody like me. And that's the frustrating piece. Because it's the same thing. Like, especially I'm big in the CrossFit space, and that's how obviously Chris and I met. And the struggle there is that, again, same thing. You got an amazing coach, an amazing maybe personal trainer, et cetera. They built up the passion, they built up the following, and it's like, you know what? It's time to take this out on my own. I'm going to launch my own platform, my own business, yada yada yada. And then it's like, oh, wake up call. There's no entrepreneurship for. Well, I'm sure there is a program out there, entrepreneurship for trainers. But they're like, I got this. I'll call my buddy who's a lawyer, my buddy who's a finance guy. And actually, I can't tell you how many times who don't call their buddies with the finance guy. And and it's like, okay, I'm just going to launch. Next thing you know, they're tens of thousands of dollars in debt. Their overhead of the building and the equipment, and all they see is payments and bills. And it's like, oh man, and they're losing that passion. That's a side effect of it. And it sounds like I'm hearing that the same thing on the chef front too.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And that's the thing. The best part is I love talking to people who are passionate about something, and these chefs are extremely passionate about helping other chefs. The chef community is extremely tight knit, and they all want to help each other. Even though half of them are competing, they're all okay with that because competition breeds excellence. So they don't mind if, the chef like 3 restaurants down that does the exact same cuisine as them comes and asks them questions, because they're able to collaborate, they're able to help each other, and they're really able to give the most to the customers, which is really one of the number one things that all of them have said so far. They want to help out the customers. They want to give a good meal and a good experience. Man,
we've been racking up some serious best practices shared today on just business in general, but this actually goes back to life in general too. Like competition, you said it, competition breeds success. And I see the same struggle here in my local area, the greater Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania, Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, these three little towns / cities. And I tried years ago to launch a project called the Lehigh Valley Fitness Network. I still own the website and the domain. I haven't done anything with it because I was trying to build a networking community and organization to bring the fitness world and the health and fitness space together, bring together the owners, coaches, people at the upper echelon, and get them to start working together. Because, but everybody has still got that small time mindset of the small business. And it's like, oh no, that's my competitor. I don't want them learning my trade secrets. I'm like, number one, what if you could learn their trade secrets? And
Exactly,
everybody learns to build a sustainable business. Everybody learns to niche themselves, right? And you actually get your business to grow because you get better at it and you get more focused. And
Absolutely.
you want people to know that you're different than the guy down the street. That's, but I struggle with that. The same. I have so many friends in the health and fitness space, and they all, not all of them, some of them actually do see the bigger picture, but not all of them do. Not all of them do.
And it's unfortunate that people can be so, I don't want to say closed-minded, I guess, but can be very, because they have the blinders on when they're running forward.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, I mean, if your trade secret is that amazing, you should probably trademark it, patent it, and sell it. If it's that, far out of this world good, I mean, you should be able to make more money than you're already making, right? Now, maybe you're extremely successful, but there should be something else you can do to make a little bit more money on top of that.
And if it's not trademarkable, then maybe it's not as amazing as you thought it was.
Exactly. Right. So, again, people have blinders on. I understand where they're coming from. It is what it is. And hopefully we can talk to the ones that do want to interact, that do want to share ideas and are willing to, you give me an idea, I give you an idea. And now both of our businesses are better. Now we're both making more money. That's the thing. There's 3 meals in a day, right? And, most restaurants are probably open for at least 2.5, depending on, New York City restaurants open until 2:00 in the morning kind of thing. There's enough clients. I mean, there's 15 million people that walk through New York City on a daily basis. If you can't make money that way,
New York's a beast.
You're doing something wrong. Exactly. You're doing something wrong. So, I mean, I'm trying to build my business in New York and in Philadelphia. I'm interviewing chefs from both areas, but I'm also very much willing, and I want to interview chefs from all over the country because at some point, as you said, I do have goals that I will be a nationwide agency, that I do work with the upper echelon of restaurants, the upper echelon of chefs, and I'm really able to communicate their voice, their brand, their message to their clientele.
Well, and the other piece that you're actually sharing with us right here is actually good best practice that I've shared with other people too, is that thanks to the online space, thanks to the podcasting space, we can digitally bring together people from different time zones, different area codes, different states, different cities. And in the end, yes, is Seattle a different market than New York that's different than Philadelphia? Sure, culturally, maybe ethnically, depending on the populace and how it breaks out. But in the end, there's going to be best practices that can be shared because entrepreneurship only goes so deep. And especially if you've niched yourself as a chef or a restaurant owner, you guys are experiencing some of the same things. And there's no reason why you can't share best practices from different cities, different states, different countries, for that matter. So I like it.
Yeah. I mean, things travel. I mean, I'm sure not everything that happens in Seattle will work in New York, but if A, you don't try it, you'll never know. And B, if you do try it, there's at least a way to kind of massage it and move it around so that it does start to fit the puzzle a little bit better over here, because certain words might not work, but certain practices still might. So it's just, again, the information we've got from some of these chefs and restaurant owners has been unbelievable. We've also, interviewed a couple just industry experts, so food photographers, food writers, just so chefs and owners can get a better understanding of what exactly they're trying to do and how they can help them. Because again, my number one goal with this is to give chefs and restaurant owners better ingredients to cook with in their kitchen while they're running their business.
Well, I could tell you, I travel a lot, so I love Yelp, right? Great app. And yes, I do love the regular photos that people can share from their meal. But let's be real, some people don't take the time to share or post or check in on Yelp. So I love it when I stumble across a restaurant that went through the trouble of getting professional photography done of their meals, cuisine, et cetera, or especially the interior of the restaurant. And I know that they're going to be polished because they're professional, but at least gives me an idea of what the potential of that business is. So I'm not in your niche, but I was like, dude, every legitimate restaurant should have some professional photos taken of like your core menu and especially the interior and the exterior of your restaurant, especially the interior, because I travel so much. That's how I love to pick places out. It's not just the reviews. I want to see what the place looks like. I'm like, dude, I'm a coffee shop guy. I geek out on coffee. So I love a good espresso, a good breve latte with the richer fats, yada, yada, yada. But I love also like, okay, that looks like a good place that I could plug my laptop in, hop on the Wi-Fi, throw some headphones in, and I'm going to be chilling and I'm going to be cool. I don't like the coffee shops that are so like crunchy hippie that it's like, I feel like I'm going to be surrounded by a drum circle. But I like to, but I like the the trendy ones, right? Like I like some of that clean, modern, industrial look. But how am I going to know that? Because most people don't put that on the Yelp reviews. So just that one little piece you just shared about interviewing photographers, powerful, man. Like the photographer can be sharing best practices of chefs and restaurant owners, or they can go listen to this episode because we're geeking out about that right now.
That will help as well. That will absolutely help as well. And no, it's been a lot of fun, and just the information that I've also been receiving from it has been unbelievable, because again, it's as much as it is a podcast for restaurant and chefs and restaurant owners, the information, a lot of it is life-based. A lot of it can deal with a lot of different things. Things that I'm working through, things that you're working through. Some of it is very, high level, more mindset, more, how to really enjoy, how to get passion out of what you're doing. Again, it's geared towards chefs and restaurant owners, but if someone that isn't a chef or a restaurant owner listens to it, you'll still get something out of it, which I'm really proud about.
Yeah.
And the questions, again, I'm getting better every single day when I do this. Your help obviously has been, very, very valuable. So I do appreciate that again. But it's been a lot of fun. It turns out I absolutely love doing it too. So that's another feather in the cap. That why stop now? If I can help people and enjoy it, I mean, shoot, sounds like a good idea to me.
I tell people that all the time. I tell people like, yeah, technically the podcast is a hobby because supposedly it's not monetized, right? And I was like, listen, some shows are monetized and I can't stand them. All right. But in the end, even if it's a hobby, make sure it's a hobby you enjoy. So even though I'm a crazy adrenaline junkie, like I go do CrossFit, I ski, I mountain bike, depending on the time of the year. And I'm literally an hour ago, I was on a almost 2 hour long phone call with a guy in Banff, Canada, because he's one of these world-class concierges for these high-end hotels / spa restaurants. Because my fiance and I are planning our wedding for 2019, and it's going to be a heli skiing wedding. Like we're not going to do we're not going to do a cheesy wedding. We're going to do the whole helicopter flying into the mountaintop, ski back. So like, if I'm going to spend the money, we're going to spend the money, man. We're going to have an adventure.
You friggin' do it right.
Yeah. Right. So, but like it's, how would I have come across that? Well, because thanks to the podcast, I had a woman on from LA who's in the same, I had no idea there's a world-class concierge organization. I can't even pronounce the name. It's French, but they wear two golden keys on their lapel.
Really?
And so shout out to Sarah Dandashi, because she's actually originally from this area, Allentown, Pennsylvania. She lives in LA, works for some $600-700 a night, hotel out there, like a boutique hotel. And I told her what we were doing. And she's like, oh, I got to get you connected with Donnie. I'm like, who's Donnie? She's like, well, there's this like castle looking world-class resort in Banff, Canada. And he is the concierge. And then she gets into talk about that whole concierge circle of influence and the double key thing. And I'm like, oh, so it took us like a few weeks, almost a month to finally nail down a time to talk. And I told my fiance, I was like, dude, we got to hire this. We got to work with that resort because they got Donnie. And she's like, yeah, but they're really, really expensive. And then after this phone call, we got Donnie, man. He's like, you do realize that I'm a concierge. He's like, so basically I could just become your wedding planner without you guys actually hiring a wedding planner, because it's my job to make sure our guests have an amazing experience. So by the end of the call, she's like, oh, yeah, this is pretty awesome.
Donnie's going to take care of you guys. I can feel it already.
But like how cool how many concierges, I learned this from Sarah, know the best restaurants, the best chefs, right? Like the cuisine. It's their job to know that shit. They have to know the best, all the surrounding attractions. If they got foodies staying at their hotel, they got to know all that stuff. So there's another idea is I don't know how concierges would, well, if you've already bringing on photographers and everything else, like maybe bringing on a concierge to discuss how she picks out her favorite restaurants or whatever. I'll get you connected with Sarah if you're game.
Sarah or even Donnie wouldn't be a
Well,
problem.
yeah,
It
I know.
sounds like he
Well,
would be a
I
blast.
just met Donnie today. But I don't know if he goes on podcasts, but Sarah, she's like an award-winning concierge, and she's got a whole online brand.
Yeah.
It's called Ask a Concierge. And that's why she became so like viral online, because she's a millennial. But no other concierge ever decided to launch their own brand, right? And put themselves out there. And she doesn't have a
Brilliant.
podcast. So, but again, we actually geeked out a little bit about like restaurants and stuff. So that's why I was like, oh man. And
Yeah.
I tell all my co-hosts, I'm like, man, by the end of the show, I got to figure out who I can get you connected with, at least one person.
That would be a person I'd love to be connected with. Absolutely.
And that's something I want to tie back to you, is that I love inspiring and motivating new podcasters, because I'm technically a newer one. And just think about it from a networking perspective, right? So after a year, I have over 100 co-hosts that I could probably get crisscross connected just from that one inner circle, let alone all my other business circles and everything else. But like, just in the podcast world, I have a whole list of podcast co-hosts that I can just start bouncing people back and forth to. And that's become such a powerful tool, because I'm a big picture thinker. And I just want to share that with you, because like, man, you could have a chef on like a month ago, and then you launch, and then you bring on another new chef in January, and you're talking to him, and you're like, oh wait, I just talked to what's her name? She's a great chef, to help launch the show. And you guys should totally connect up, because it sounds like you've struggled or you've shared best practice in the same sector. And it might have nothing to do with podcasting. It might just be getting them connected. Like, how cool would that be? That goes way beyond your marketing. You become a resource, and that will just level you up in authority in your space.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something that, again, Chris and I have talked about that. Just, the common quote I see a lot now is, your network is your net worth.
Yep.
And that's one of the biggest reasons I also started to do something like this, because not being in a restaurant, being 26, not having, only being in the marketing agency world for about a year now, not a lot of people are really willing to, I wouldn't say take a chance, because I do have a number of clients that I'm extremely happy with, and I appreciate them. I treat them like gold. But at the same time, there is, the ability to do more, learn more, and work harder and make more money. And that's obviously something I'm trying to do. So just by creating this network of people, by giving as much value as I can to all these chefs, the hope is that at some point it's going to come back to me, 10, 12, 100 fold.
Well, and how cool is it if, and maybe this is a random idea, but let's say you get connected with all of these chefs on Facebook, right? Like, they're now your friends. Well, Facebook's also a networking group, whether you like it or not. It doesn't have to be LinkedIn, because a lot of chefs don't even exist on LinkedIn, but they're probably on Facebook. And what if you create a private Facebook group just for all the chefs that have ever been on your show, and say, hey, thanks to you coming on the show, would you be open to coming into a private mastermind group that I'm honoring all of the guests of my show? And once you guys are in there, it's a free community, but it's a private community just for people who have come on my show. And I just want to help you guys all get interconnected virtually online. Just throwing that out there is a crazy idea. I don't know.
Idea.
Do you know how many Facebook groups are online now? I mean, I have my own Facebook group. I'll be adding you into that. But it's like, people don't, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, there's all these ways of creating masterminds. Why couldn't a young guy not known in the industry, but now he's got a podcast show? So automatically you've leveled up in authority, because now you're media, dude. And you're helping chefs and entrepreneurs grow their brand by publishing their content on your platform. And then what if you say, you know what, I'm leveling up my brand, I'm leveling up my show, and I'm going to create this private community. And you don't have to join if you don't want to, but if you're game and you're my friend on Facebook, I'm going to go ahead and put you in there. And then every time we bring in new members, you'll see people joining. And maybe one of your key questions in that Facebook community is, hey, if you're new to the group, let people know who you are, your chef background, your restaurant, where you're at. Something short and sweet like that. Now, all of a sudden, people are meeting chefs from all over the country, or just between Philly and New York. And then now they'll be like, oh man, I was on such and such podcast show. Next time in New York, I'm going to go to that restaurant. So all these things are just, that's what my brain works.
No, I love the way your brain works. And I have almost an entire full page of notes. Most of them are me just trying to spell French words that I don't really know how to spell. So I have some scribbles, but I mean, notes are
I love
notes.
it.
But no, and that's one huge thing. Again, as I was talking about, the chef community is extremely tight knit, and they really do want to work with each other and help each other out. So, there's a website called Chef's Feed. It's an app. It's an awesome place to go. If you are a foodie, I highly suggest you download it. It's it's a cool app.
Like Chef's Fee as in, or feed with a D?
Feed. And it's just a place where chefs go to talk to other chefs, essentially. So I have a friend of mine who, same age, 26. He's worked in a Michelin star restaurant. He's been all around New York, Denver. He's been in a couple different places. And really what this is kind of just chefs talking to other chefs. And I mean, people like me and you can go on and just see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's really awesome to see what they're doing. So if I see a chef on here, they're clearly trying to build their brand within the chef community. So it's one of those things where I am then trying to, I know who I'm trying to go after, because they're trying to build their brand within the chef community, and I'm just giving them an extra outlet to do that.
I love that. And their website's pretty smart, because as soon as I'm screen sharing this for a video feed, like it automatically knew I was in Allentown. Usually they ask you that first, but okay, pretty smart site. And like I already know that, for example, like this one of these latest blog posts was, warm cheese is the best kind of cheese. Yes, you want to let your cheese set in the room and warm up and start sweating. I learned that thanks to a couple of wineries of all places.
Absolutely.
This is a cool site. Yeah. And that's an app. So listeners, if you're foodies and you want to like see what chefs talk about, apparently you got to go download the Chef's Feed app. That's pretty cool. I'm liking it.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. The app itself, looks really nice too. Again, they just have the same thing. It's just super easy to use, super nice to, it's really nice. If you're interested in the stories behind the chefs, it's really fun. If you're interested in dishes that they've eaten, a lot of fun. Dishes that they've created, really cool. They get reviews on other dishes from other restaurants, which again is just that extra. So it's really all very chef driven. And again, it's just them trying to build their brand within the community, which I completely respect. And my idea is I can go to you, say, hey, I saw you here. You're trying to do this. Let me help you just in one extra way.
There you go. Say, and you actually just ask their permission, right? It's like, listen, I love the fact you're getting yourself out there on Chef's Feed. I'm a huge fan. I've launched, a podcast to give back to you as well. So if you want to increase your value to another level, I'd love to give back. And then again, like I said, after that, and that's just it. Like, admittedly, I went ahead and Googled just like chef + podcast in Google, and there is a few out there. But are all of them doing what you and I are talking about? I don't know.
No.
Are they even thinking about building like a mastermind community of chefs? Who knows, right? I mean, how crazy is it that maybe that community ends up you launching like a forum around sharing marketing best practices to chefs? Like, I don't know. Like, that's exciting thing for your business and where you're going. You and Chris got so many ways to take that. But and then what if you launch that Facebook group and all the chefs start sharing their own stories back and forth and commenting, oh yeah, I had that problem and here's what I did. Well, now you've actually already got the answers, right? All you're the host of the community. If they it takes a little while. Sometimes in the beginning, I have a group that has approaching 5,000 people in it from all over the world that love the nutrition that I use and are trying to make it work in the CrossFit space. So, and it took a little while. I was kind of like doing most of the posting. And then eventually people are like, oh yeah, I love this, love that. They're liking, they're sharing. And next thing you know, they start sharing their stories. And then after about a year, I eventually unlocked the community and let them do whatever the hell they want. And then I updated the rules of the community and just said, listen, if anybody sees anything that doesn't belong in here, please just message me and I'll kick them out of the group or whatever. I'm trusting you all with this community that it's time to hand it off to you. I'm just the founder. But not every community you can do that with. I have other communities where I have to physically approve every single post, every single comment, because there's still idiots in there trying to spam. So just warning you of some of the risks, but
yeah, definitely.
They do. It becomes a powerful tool. I'll just say that. And then, God, if I ever took the time to pull the entire digest from all the posts from those 4,000 to 5,000 members in that one community, I could probably write books out of that. I could probably launch a whole website and just share everybody's tips and tricks that they shared. Like that can become a valuable resource tool. Who knows? It's just
absolutely
not one of my top priorities as far as money generating activities, but I probably could find a way to monetize that community if I wanted to, right? But in your case, you might start learning other chefs' marketing successes or failures, and then that may end up directing you to a new service that you end up launching. We talked about with Chris, like, hey man, ever since I launched that community, I keep seeing this pop up a lot. right? And what most successful business people tell you, don't just start creating services for shits and giggles, right? Like, why do you ask your customer what their problem is? But if you get to sit back and just watch everybody sharing it in a community, you get to see their top struggles come out maybe. I don't know. I'm digging it now. I'm geeking out on this.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. And again, it really helps that I love food and I loved working in a restaurant. So again, there's just that extra passion behind it that I'm really proud of. And that was actually one thing that Chris, after the first few episodes, I told him kind of what I was doing and how I was doing it. And he's like, have you asked every single one what their biggest business problem is and what their biggest marketing problem is? And I said, I will now. So at the end of every episode, after the episode is finished, it's not in during the aired part of it. It's more of a personal thing. You know, I asked them to critique me. I say, hey, what can I do better? Obviously, I'm not perfect at this. I asked them, you know, who they know that they think they'd be able to put me in contact with. That would be a really great interview. Then
Classic sales referral process. Well done.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That's Patrick Schnabel. Shout out to him again. And then I asked them, what's your biggest business obstacle, problem, something that you need help with? Usually doesn't have to do with marketing. And then my next question is, okay, well, what's your biggest marketing and branding problem? And then they'll usually give me something. So it's pretty interesting. I don't want to sell to my, you know, featured chefs that I do have on. If they ask me questions, I'm more than willing. And that is one thing that I'm going to be working with Chris with, to see how either I can create a referral machine with it, or actually be able, because I don't want to say I feel dirty asking them like, hey, you look like you need help with this stuff. I feel like I should probably man up a little bit more.
If you're not willing to sell yourself, then who else is going to sell you better than yourself?
Exactly. Yeah, right? Exactly. So it's just one of those things I just haven't gotten 100%
confidence comes
over time. Exactly. Over time.
I've been there, man. I've been in your shoes, and it's like, wait a minute. In the end, it's not the services that they're investing in per se.
Yeah.
It's you, right? So they need to know what you're bringing to the table and say, listen, I know that I'm offering services other agencies are, but are they me? Do they have my passion? Are they launching a completely free podcasting platform to help you guys grow and share your stories, right? Like, hey, I'm going to throw that back in there. Like, that's how passionate I am, right? Like, I would do that. Like, listen, that's just an example of like how serious and committed I am. So if you're looking for somebody that has that kind of level of commitment, let's talk. If not, it's cool. Thanks for being on the show. I look forward to staying in touch. Join my private Facebook group. I don't know, like just throwing it out there, but whatever. It's like a little bit, right? It's like, hey, I've got a community I've launched. If you want to go in there and network, and that's a new tool that I'm just giving, to my people who have gifted my show. Like you gifted your time to my show, that I can hopefully help you grow your name, your brand, etc. But that's just another thank you. Like, hey, I saw, or I heard, or I saw that there's a lacking of this style of community. Like, I'm not saying you don't want to launch a group right away. Like, research it, right? Let's find out if there's a circle of influence that could be created to give back. And then maybe you become like the host of that community, right? So, yeah.
It's absolutely doable. I definitely think it's something that they can get a lot of value out of too, which is, again, that's my number one thing. If I'm giving them value, I believe in karma. I believe people are inherently good. So if I do give a lot of value and I can help people, culinary students down up to, 65-year-old executive chefs, I'm sure I can help them in some way, shape, or form with the podcast. But I also do believe that I'm able to help them with the business as well, because branding and marketing is huge, especially for chefs right now. I mean, if you scroll on Instagram, like 90% of the pictures, maybe it's just my feed, but 90% of everybody it's food, or just hot girls. So, dude, and then sometimes you get the double whammy.
Hot girls eating the food.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the double whammy. And that is the ultimate marketing tool right now. But it's definitely one of those things where I do believe in what I'm doing. I'm just not as able to sell it as much as I want to, but I do truly believe in what I'm doing. I've seen it work for all the places that I've been working with, because I've been working with a few restaurants since, January, almost an entire year now. And I've seen what's happened to their online communities, but I've also seen what's happened to their business and how I've increased sales. Because again, working in a restaurant, I understand margins are extremely thin. This isn't something like, I'm not telling you I cost this much money because I want to get paid this much. It's because I deserve this much, because I can give you that much value, if not more, back.
Exactly. Well said.
So,
well, listen, I'm going to be, I know, see, Chris, he's a valuable tool.
He's amazing.
Again, shout out to Chris Mulvaney, not just a strong weightlifting guy.
No, but he is that.
He is. He is. Well, listen, so I got to prep for another show. This has been a
Cool.
powerful episode. I love the story you've shared with us. And if you have listened to past episodes, what I know you have,
Hmm.
I always bring our episodes to the close to allow you to leave behind some final words that, kind of sum up who you are, what you're trying to do, big picture thinking, right? Like we're all about
Hmm.
success and growth. And this is bigger than just your brand right now. This is just,
Hmm.
hey, man,
Yeah.
this is what Michael's trying to do next or what his big picture is. That way, if they forget everything else you talked about, they can at least remember
Always
this
take
is about
care. Yeah.
you. And it's
Uh-huh.
like, all right, if you don't want to follow him because of his brand, follow him because of this message. So
Mhm.
what do you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really just trying to connect the world through food. I truly believe in it. I truly love it. And I think that there's a way that my passion can come out. As I said, I love connecting the two sides of me, the side that loves to go out and eat food and the side that loves to be in the restaurant behind the line sweating because of the fire. So it's really just one of those things where I believe in what I'm doing. I'm extremely passionate about it. I'm extremely excited to move forward with Chris as my, I guess you could say, right-hand man, being able to help me out with everything. The ability for my brand to grow in the direction that we see it moving in, especially with the podcast for 2018. I really do see some big things. And again, I really do believe that I'm able to help people in that process. And I think that's just the most important part, because bringing joy to someone else has always brought me an extreme amount of joy. So if I don't need to make $1 million doing that. You can do that very easily. But if I can make a couple dollars doing it, then I consider that a good day.
Game on. Well, thank you for this word, sir. Well, listen, hang tight. I want to give you a proper goodbye off the air. To our listeners, that's Michael Rasile. Okay. And actually, real quick, I will share his site one more time for the video feed. So again, listeners, make sure you check him out at digitalmediacuisine.com. He's got a great new site. He's got an exciting new podcast coming. New year, 2018. We'll have everything linked in
January
the show
1st.
notes like we always do. So again, to our listeners, this is what we're all about, guys. We're talking about health. We're talking about business. We're talking about lifestyle. Today, we talked about food. Listen, keep living the fired up epic life, people, because Michael is. I'll talk to you guys again soon. And you're clear of the pod. Video's still
Perfect.
live. That's like
That's
extra
cool.
content. So
Good
yeah,
stuff.
man, I'm excited for you. I mean, DMC.
Thank you. Yeah, right. That was kind of the fun side. We did a little bit, little DMC. So
Of course,
kind of cool.
you had to
Mhm.
do that. It's Chris.
Exactly. Had to have
Yeah.
fun with it.
Let me
No,
guess.
that one actually, I will
That
take
was
credit
you?
for that one. Actually, that one was actually me. Yep, that one was
Boom.
me. Yes, that one was me.
Now,
So
did he like it?
I'm not totally sure.
Yeah.
We've actually considered branding differently, because with as I said, for 2018 moving forward, what we're trying to do, I'm trying to become kind of a gun for hire almost, where I will
Yeah.
be your director of marketing. I will
Yeah.
do anything and everything marketing for you. Whereas I'll talk to the Yelp person that keeps calling you, and I'll tell them to fuck off. I have no problem doing that. I'm actually, one of the podcast episodes I'm most excited for, I have a friend of mine, can't say his name because he used to work for Yelp, and he's actually to come on with me and let him and myself just kind of eviscerate Yelp, because chefs and restaurant owners hate Yelp as much as you love it.
They are
It's
frustrated
great
because
for the clientele.
once a bad, I mean, I have a buddy of mine who's a tattoo artist, and he
Mhm.
said the same thing. Like once somebody leaves a bad review,
Mhm.
Yelp allows that review to outrank others. And he's like,
Yep.
come on, dude, look at how many other
Yeah.
amazing reviews I've had since
Exactly.
then. And we've all tried to do that. We've all tried to go on and list the proper reviews, and we can't. It's just right there in your face. And it's
Mhm.
like, come on, man, who's doing your
Yeah.
algorithms? That can't be right.
Exactly. So that's going to be a very, very fun podcast that I've told other chefs and restaurant owners about that, and they're actually really excited to listen to that one. So it should be good. But yeah, it's kind of going to just be like a director of marketing moving forward. I've been really dealing with just social media at this point because I needed a way to get in.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say I'm an avid content consumer of Gary Vee. I used to be. I'm sure you know.
I hit or miss on his content. I haven't been
Yes.
following it in the last couple of months, but like I've used him here and there. So
yeah. Oh my gosh, Jay. And I do like the message behind what he's saying and all that stuff. The one that really resonated with me was clouds and dirt. Clouds meaning know exactly where you're trying to go and how you're going to get there, but dirt meaning you have to know all the intricate details of what you need to do first. So I like doing the social media because I get to see exactly what the clientele is saying, what they like, what they don't like. And then my head's in the clouds, meaning, okay, well, I want to take all this and be able to push that. And now I'm going to be I'm going to talk to your third party vendors. I'm going to talk to this guy. I'm going to do everything, your PR. That's kind of the way it's going to go. It's probably not going to work out easily in 2018 like that, but that's the direction the company's moving in.
You're kind of right there with me, actually. Like I can totally, I manage multiple social media pages now, especially on Facebook. And that's obviously a service that can be offered, but
Yep.
I actually more enjoy just being the strategist. Like I want to be their marketing, like you said, their director, their strategist that decides what we do next. But then I prefer handing off like the little tiny labor things like that. I don't want to deal with that. I'd rather help direct where everything is going. And that's what we do every single week. We have a strategy call. We check in. That's what I'm doing with one of my clients now. Like I'm actually not doing any heavy lifting and I'm loving it. But because really the heavy lifting is the brain, right? And I know her brand. I know what she's trying to do.
Yeah.
And I love that. Could I schedule some social media posts? Sure. And if we can't find a good service provider, I'll probably add that in, just something to, she's got to pay for it. But,
of course,
but Amelia,
your time's money.
My time and my experience is value to her is best on the strategy front. So, and that's, again, we all start and go somewhere. So I'm with you on that.
But yeah, we'll see. But I got Chris, so I think anything's possible at this point.
You got that right. I do love him and his team. Anyway, if you get a chance, though, if you haven't done the whole Google search and do chef + podcast all together, like the top 5 or 6 results come back with chef-related podcasts. So,
that's the thing. There's probably 1 million chef podcasts out there.
I'm just saying, if you haven't studied a couple of the other shows, like always study your competition, so to speak.
100%.
Yeah.
No, there's been a few that I listened to. There's actually one podcaster through your kind of, I guess, direction to ask them to come onto my show. Now, I haven't asked to go onto her show yet, but that's obviously after everything airs and she can see everything that happens from it.
My new thing is when I have a podcaster on, I'll just say, listen, if and when you're ever ready and you need it, I'm happy to come on and experience your show. So I don't use it as like be on your show like me. I'm like, I'd love to be able to experience how and what you do. And provide great, content to your audience too. Like it's all about give. So, and actually another little verbiage thing, I was just give you an idea on a play on words. One of my clients, I'm a huge positive motivational guy, and they overuse the word problem. And I remember you saying one of your final questions to your guests is asking them, like, what's a marketing problem you have? So all I would suggest is that some of these don't want to admit what their problems are. But if you rephrase it as, what do you think is your biggest marketing opportunity to succeed or to achieve the next tier in your goals, right? Granted, it's probably a problem. But let's look at it from that, because what I've noticed is I get better feedback when I say opportunity, because it flips a different reaction in their brains. Instead of focusing on the negative and turning into a bitch fest type phone call or email, it's wait a minute, what is my biggest opportunity to improve? And if they can't answer that, that perfectly allows you to slide in and say, well, this is what I do, man. Like I help you guys achieve the next opportunity. And if you can't figure out where you want to go next, what you want to do, maybe we should talk. Just saying. And then the problems will come to the surface, but just a play on words for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, this is why I love marketing, just because you can switch one word like that and it's, it changes the entire optics of the conversation, which is always super, super interesting to me.
Yeah. I mean, I guarantee you, if you had that same exact question posed to like Chris's entire team, every single person there has a different background, different education, different circle of influence, all came to his company at a different time. And I'm sure each of them might answer that slightly different across the board. And I would hope they would. So
yeah, 100%.
Cool, man.
Good stuff.
Well, is there anything else I could do for you?
No, but I appreciate that. I mean, this has been unbelievable. I sincerely appreciate you letting me come on. Obviously, when all this goes live and we're ready to roll, let me know about it, because I want to tell all my friends and family members, because I think it's pretty cool. But no, definitely, I do appreciate it again. I'm not kidding about all the French words that I can't spell on my notebook. I actually can't read half of them. I don't really know what they mean. But yeah,
I think liaison is LIAIASON. I think it's like a double I, double A combo or something.
I threw a Z somewhere in there. So
no, there's definitely no Z.
No, I know. It's just easier. That's how I know. Because if I put LASAION or something like that,
it's LIAISON. Yep. So it's LIAI. Right. So it's just the IAI in there, and then it's just SON at the end. So
that's a lot easier than I expected. But if you could put me in contact with Sarah, I think that would be a super, super interesting episode for me. But then the selfish side is that means she probably knows some people as well. And then it just kind of, again, creates a little bit more of a network.
And again, this is everything she's doing is about brand growth for her. So I don't see why she'd ever turn it down either. And again, her whole YouTube feed, everything is about asking a concierge, like, what do they recommend and where do they go? And she's huge in the LA space, but a lot of what content she shares is when she goes to restaurants or these tourist attraction locations and she films there. So she's got her own
That's
like
pretty
video, photo person, everything. So it's really cool. But I will email her and CC you. I'll do a warm intro because that's the best way to do it. And when you get a chance, like check out, before you talk to her, check out askaconcierge.tv. And I don't know if concierge is a French word or not. We can add that to your list.
I think it's French. I think it is, but I mean, I just assume at this point.
I could tell you, man, like she's got like almost 60,000 Twitter followers. She's got over 3,200 YouTube followers.
That's awesome.
And actually I got to reach out to her too, because her Instagram link is broken on her website. So it's okay. Because I know she's got a crap load of followers on Instagram, but right now her website shows 0. That is unacceptable, Sarah. Come on.
She'll get better. Hopefully she's listening to this right now.
I have her cell phone. I'm just going to text her.
Awesome. So then let me throw that back on you. Is there anything I can do for you? Is there any way I can give you a little bit more value?
All I ask is, like most of my guests is, and real quick, she's 15,500 followers on Instagram. So
that makes more sense. Yeah, it makes more sense than 0 at least.
Yeah. And again, she's a young millennial. For me, I keep it simple. I like to keep it subtle more than out there. And when my co-hosts come on, like I said, I say, listen, I'm trying to honor you. And that's the message I want to get out there to the social media space or email list. So it's like, I try and teach my co-hosts, like, share the content, dude. You didn't generate it. I know you get it because you're a marketer. Of course you're going to share the content. You just got published on somebody else's website.
Exactly.
And it's free marketing for you. So I don't have to worry about telling you about that. Other than that, I'm good. Pretty simple.
Good stuff, man. I appreciate it. Make sure you give Chris a call. I'm sure he wouldn't mind hearing from you.
Well, I know last time when it took us forever to get that show scheduled because he's such a busy guy too. But that's no excuse. He and I are probably gonna have to schedule a little chat come January. I got to check it with him, and we could talk strategy stuff. So I can bounce some things off of him.
The business opportunities he gets himself in. That's one of the best parts of our conversations. The first probably 5 or 6 minutes is him just telling me. I always just ask, so would you step in this weekend? He's doing this, he's doing that, he's starting this business. He went to go look at, he went to a conference for this. He's checking out this. So it's just, it's fun to listen to him because, again, even though it kind of eats into our meeting time a little bit, kind of pumps me up to know, like, okay, his trajectory is only 15 years out. Like, no joke. We started everything at the same time. We started doing everything at the same time, essentially, when we both turned 25. And we're just kind of, his trajectory made it. Now
you just have an age difference. That's it. Yeah.
Yep. If I could be where he is in 15 years, we're going to be good.
And one of my newer taglines I've been using on a lot of the podcasts or new conversations, I tell people, especially in like health, for example, too. I'm like, guys, like, ladies and gentlemen, we're just all at a different place on the timeline. That's all it is. And to be fair, you and him are on the actual same timeline. Just different generation, right? You're a millennial. He's my gen. He's Gen X, I think. I don't know. But,
something like that.
Yeah. So anyway, no, I'll reach out to Chris. I got to tell him to say hi. And plus, you got to tell him that anyway, because he's got name dropped all over this.
No, he knew I was coming on here, so he was aware. So he'll listen to this, I'm sure.
And usually, actually, every once in a while, somebody on his team ends up retweeting something of mine. So I see CMDS retweeting my stuff once in a while. So
good stuff.
We'll have to make sure we tag them in the posts. So
yes, great idea.
Yeah. All right, man.
Good stuff, man. All right, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Keep up the hustle.
I'll do my best. You as well, sir.
Have a good night.
You too.